Welcome to American Survival Guide Television with your host, Amber Hargrove.
Hi guys, and welcome to American Survival Guide. I'm here with the one and only Nate Boyer. Thank you, brother, so much for joining us here.
Thank you, Amber. I appreciate you having me on.
I know. We've been watching you for a while, and I've been watching your Instagram and your Facebook and your growth as an individual, and we see you even on the politics side as well. And we just want to say thank you for your service to start out. I know that you served in the military just like me. You have actually done more in a career that I've seen in most Americans, which is pretty impressive. Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, military career, multiple combat tours to Iraq. I mean, what haven't you done is a real question, Nate.
Politics. I don't know why you mentioned politics. I'm not running for office. That's never going to happen. There's a lot of things I haven't done. I'm out here. I live in Los Angeles, and I'm working in film and TV, hustling, I should say, in film and TV. I want to have my own production company. I want to make movies, and I'm starting to do some of that stuff, but I haven't accomplished it yet. So that's one of the things that I'm really working towards.
Go-getter. You are so motivated, and I love watching you. It's very inspirational to see somebody coming from the military. You played professional football just to top it off. You are in multiple movies now, and also you were on the commercial during the Super Bowl. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, they did. Well, actually, Fox NFL Sunday did a promo. Fox had the Super Bowl this year. That they ran it about 3 years ago, and then they reran it and cut some new stuff in with Medal of Honor recipient Kyle Carpenter, which was super cool. And then like 5 minutes later, there was a YouTube commercial that was sort of telling my story on it. So like everyone was pinging me. It was really cool, but everybody was pinging me right afterwards, like, Nate Boyer won the Super Bowl already, and blah blah blah. But that was really cool. It was an honor to have that opportunity to the Fox Sports promo was set to Ragged Old Flag, which is a really cool Johnny Cash song, sort of talking about the state of where we're at, I think, as a nation. It's talking about, the song's about the flag, but it's more of a poem, and it's really about where we're at as a country. We're kind of beaten up a little bit. Sometimes we're beating ourselves up. We're a little bit torn and wrinkled, but we're still standing. We still the flag gets raised every morning and taken down at night. And it still, to me, represents us as a country, not necessarily some of the past in the best way, but so much great history, where we're heading in the future. And we're still the greatest country in the world. That's just my opinion.
I love that you say that. I appreciate that. I said that to Chu Lamb in my last interview, and he said, we are the greatest country. And I was like, I love hearing it. So it means so much. And you are definitely, truly, when you look at the American country here, you see Nate Boyer here, you have accomplished so much, and you give back so much to the community, not just to around you, but to the veterans. Let's talk about that. What type of programs do you support for the Army veterans, or just military in general?
Yeah. I support anyone that's representing our community in the right way and providing opportunities for us. There's a lot of veterans in our country, and there's a lot of combat vets. And one of the things that's been a little bit frustrating over the years that I've experienced is just, I think, a gap between the veteran community and the civilian community. And it's nobody's fault individually. It's really just, I think a lot of that fault is in Hollywood. That's one of the reasons I'm out here, sort of perpetuating stereotypes of
yes,
what we're like, what PTSD looks like, the typical veteran. Because the reality is, when you talk about diversity and inclusion, which is a buzzword these days, the military community is probably the most diverse microcosm in America. I mean, we come from everywhere. Look at Tulane. That's a great example. You know what I mean? We come from everywhere. We believe different things, different genders, different, sexual orientations. I mean, seriously, this is like, it's a big melting pot, and we put all that stuff aside to make the mission complete. We find a way to get things done, even though we don't always like the person we're working with. We take a bullet for them, and that's a rare thing. And so I think that understanding, but also being able to relate to a lot of people in the civilian community. So Merging Vets and Players, MVP, is a charity that I co-founded with Jay Glazer, and we bring together combat vets and former professional athletes and help them find purpose after the uniform comes off, like that new identity.
I
think the reality is most athletes, most professional athletes, and most combat veterans, their careers end in their 20s and 30s if they're lucky, maybe in their 40s. But you've got so much life left to live. You've done a lot, but who you are as the person that got to that place, that earned that uniform, and came back. And now so many of those people, they think, okay, I'm done with that. I've peaked. I'll never be great again. Who am I now? And you're that same person. Like it's just that remembering that. And so we meet every week and we build that community back up again. And we just want people to remember who they are, but also be able to relate to one another, even though those backgrounds are very different.
Wow. I really love that you say that. It means so much. I mean, you really just hit the nail on that with a hammer, because like you mentioned, even in Hollywood, what you started in the beginning stating that there's so many different stereotypes. For me, it's difficult as a soldier and having combat tours to watch military movies. It's difficult for me. I get these weird emotions. And then when you see certain scenes, you're like, well, wait a minute. Hold up. They're not wearing the uniform correctly. They're not even speaking the right lingo. It just really gets to me sometimes. But I really appreciate you doing that and being part of that, because people look up to you and they see, we know you're going to do it right, Nate. We know you're not going to go in there.
I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try. I mean, there's certain things I'm learning. Unfortunately, there's certain things when it comes to the higher ups, you just have to let go of. But, all you can do is your best to do it right. And also, like, I'm really a stickler on getting veterans involved in the projects behind the camera, not just as like a tech advisor, but in the creation process of it, in front of the camera, also learning those jobs around the set. Being on a big movie set is like, it's like a military operation, like a training operation. It's not like combat, but you've got your chain of command, you've got all these different departments that have to work together. And, you got to figure stuff out. You have to be ready for sudden change and be flexible and adjust and work well with others and all these things that we have done while getting shot at. So, so it's especially when it comes to telling military stories, I think we need to be a bigger part of that conversation, like telling our own stories, and from every facet of the business. Development stage onto production and to post-production and so on.
I think that's really smart to have the military veterans come in there, because it makes sense. I mean, you can hire actors and they've never served in the military, and you could tell in movies, you're like, what is that soldier doing? They would not do that. So when you actually get a chance to know that there's veterans behind the scenes, I mean, it really brings a true element to that, and it's more meaningful. So thank you for doing that behind the scenes. That is
of course.
Amazing. So, okay. So if I had to ask you one thing about your military career, what is the best memory you've ever had overseas? One moment where you were like, I did that.
Oh man, that is a good question. I mean, my last deployment, it was a couple weeks before I was coming back home, and we got in a big firefight, and we actually lost the Afghan captain. We were working with the Afghan Special Forces in like a partnered mission, and the captain was killed. And when they took his body off, the Black Hawk came down, and they're not supposed to do this. You're only supposed to have all Afghans or all Americans approach the bird, depending on who the crew is. But we had 3 Americans and 3 Afghans carrying the cot that had his, or the gurney, I should say, that had his body on it. I thought that was really symbolic and cool. Aww. Just to see, us kind of mourn for them the same way they would mourn for us if we lost our guy, just that sort of brotherhood that can only be developed at war, really, with people that you don't even speak the same language and believe in the same God and have the same customs and cultures with. You still find a way to connect and sort of fight alongside them and feel that brotherhood.
That is that means a lot. It's true. When you go overseas, cool. Even the locals that you work with over there, I used to call them Hajis, obviously, all the time. And there were some really good people I met over there in 2003 and even 2007 on my second deployment, where people are like, how can you be their friend? I'm like, surprisingly, they want the same thing we do, just on a different view is what they're looking in with their optics. And I made great friends over there. And I look back now and I don't know what happened to them, but I could say I got to experience that part of my life with them. And it was nice seeing their perspective of the situation with the war and everything. So that means a lot hearing that, because I would say the same thing. That meant a lot seeing something like that, I bet. So,
right.
Well, besides the military career, what is your next adventure, Nate? What's going on with you right now? Besides filming, obviously, what's your next step? Are you hosting the Vetties again this year? I've been watching you on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I did it earlier this year. That was awesome. That was a really cool experience. I've never hosted a show like that where you know, there was a lot of people there. But also it was, I had to try to be funny, which was not, that didn't go so hot. It was funny at times. But I'm working on this project right now. I'm trying to record all these World War II vets stories before they go. Obviously, they're in their 90s up to hundreds. I went out to the Iwo Jima 75th reunion, and the youngest guy we spoke to, I think, was 93. And we talked to a guy that was 101. And some of them are incredibly sharp and just remember everything, And when we were sitting down talking about Iwo Jima specifically, I was just blown away at how much they could recall. And it was like, and it was really hard for a lot of these guys. One of them in particular, he hadn't spoken about it in 75 years since it happened, and that was, it's kind of heartbreaking to see him have to relive that and break down, but also like healing for him to finally open up about it and talk about it. And I've maintained a friendship with him since then. And we're going to try to take him back to Iwo Jima once this dang coronavirus, gets taken care of, and we can have that opportunity. He wants to go back and return to the island. And anyway, so just like telling those stories is really important to me, because these guys have some incredible ones. They're going to be gone forever very soon. And I like the idea of younger veterans sitting down with older veterans and having that connection with that shared experience, and learning from them so that the rest of the world can hear it from a more organic, I think, vulnerable place than they normally would with a typical journalist or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think it'd be amazing to watch something like that and intriguing, because you're right. Imagine holding that in for that long and not be able to speak about it and the emotions behind it, and I think it's great what you're doing. I can't wait to watch it, and we will definitely support you on this. And you're right. There's so many people that don't have the ability to talk about their experiences, even in war. So that is truly heartfelt. I appreciate you on that. So is there anything, Nate, that you would like to say to the American people out there? If you could say anything right now.
Calm down. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I promise you. I know it's a tough time, I think back to 9/11 and we bounced back really strong, and obviously that shook us. I mean, that was a horrible thing that happened. But we come together in these moments, and, we support one another. A lot of times we'll put our differences aside, and, we'll put America first and just figure it out. And then I think just a few years ago to Harvey, and that type of resilience. We're not great at a lot of things. We could be a lot better at listening to one another and being respectful sometimes and blah, blah, blah. But when tragedy strikes, we step up, whether it's overseas and our military and other organizations going to help people, or at home, we bond together, we figure it out. And right now, I think everyone's still a little bit in panic mode, and because they're not quite sure what the enemy looks like. This coronavirus thing it's kind of creepy, right? So I understand that, but just take a breath. We're going to be okay. We're going to lose people, and it's going to be very hard, but we have to stay positive, and we have to remember that, your personal health and welfare is not the only one that matters. Life has got to go on, and we'll figure that out. But I think the first step is like decrease the panic here. I think that is that's not helping. It's certainly not helping anybody. And we can't just cancel life. We got to keep going. We're all going to die at some point. So let's just take a breath and come together and figure this thing out together.
And stop buying toilet paper.
Stop buying all the toilet paper. I stole one from my hotel the other day, just in case, because I was like, I don't want to go home and fight people here.
It's ridiculous. I mean, like, as a survivalist, I look at, okay, first thing first, my own immunity is my first defense. So stay healthy, take your vitamins, right? And then I'm like, okay, without 72 hours of water, my organs would start shutting down. So obviously I have to have water resources. And then you have 5 to 6 weeks until your body starts shutting down without food on the body average.
Right.
And I'm thinking, at what point did I mention toilet paper here? I'm just going to throw that out there. I mean, people are just buying this, and it's really creepy. It's not even weird. It's just creepy that they're buying toilet paper.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's killing me right now. So I am just so happy I got a chance to talk to you, Nate. And thank you for letting American Survival Guide be a part of you and your growth. And we appreciate you so much. And we look forward to doing an article on you, getting you in there. And so how can we reach you? If our fans want to reach out to you, how can we find you?
I'm on social media at Nate Boyer 37. I do have a website, nateboyer.com as well. That's probably the best way. Or you can just come to LA and ask around. I don't know. There's only a few million people here. You might find me.
I'm going to randomly show up and wait till you're filming and be like, do you need a veteran? Because I'm here.
Yeah, I'll be the one working while everybody else is running through the streets screaming and freaking out like there's a zombie apocalypse happening. I'll be the one that's just, chilling on the park bench. Just relax.
Deal. I'll bring you a roll of toilet paper. How about that?
Thank you very much, Amber.
You're welcome. Well, guys, thank you so much. I'm Amber Hargrove. This is Nate Boyer. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We look forward to following you and watching your career grow like crazy. And your passion and drive for what you're doing with these vets is phenomenal. And keep up the great work. And definitely stay tuned. We'll have the video posted here shortly. And Nate, we look forward to talking to you again sometime.
Me too, Amber. Appreciate you.
Thanks.